Hello everyone, Daryl the Northern Vinyl Guy coming at you with part 5 of my music styles video. If you are not familiar with what music styles are, basically if you go on Discogs, they used to be known as subgenres, right? So there are genres, pop and rock, and then within those there's a whole pile of different subgenres. Discogs now refers to them as styles, so this is part 5. This video here, I'm only going to be showing, I think it's 6 records. Basically, this is the final video in which I only have one of each of these styles. And then going forward in my series, I will have 2 records per style, 3, 4, etc., etc. So this is the final one in which I only have one that meets the criteria for that. As always, if you are new to my channel, please give me the thumbs up, click the subscribe, leave some comments down below. What do you think of these styles? Have you heard of them? Have you heard of any of these musicians or bands? And if you are a regular follower of my channel, always good to have you coming along, and I hope that you enjoy this one as well. So once again, 6 or 7 records here to meet these particular styles or subgenres. So style or genre number 1 is twist music, which basically is, I guess, just a subgenre within the rock and roll scene of the 1950s and 60s. And this will come as no surprise, those of you that are familiar with the subgenre of twist music or the twist. I mean, there's an entire dance associated with this, and probably the biggest musician that we will come across with this is Chubby Checker, and this is a Twistin' Again compilation. This has multiple different dances of his that include the twist. That includes the Hucklebuck, the Fly, Pony Time, Limbo Rock, and then on the back side he's got Let's Twist Again. He's got Let's Limbo Some More. So basically this is party music under the rock and roll genre, I guess, of the 1950s and 60s. So Chubby Checker, I mean, big name. Like I said, invented a whole pile of dances, or at least is attributed to multiple dances from the 50s and 60s. I do apologize for the camera angle and the lighting today. For some reason, the lighting is a little off in this video, but it is what it is. I will try to bear with that. So that was the first style. Subgenre was twist. The second subgenre that I have, or style, is something known as dub music. Not to be confused with dubstep. Dubstep is something that's come in the 2010s and 20s, but this one here is dub music. I would associate it more along the lines of reggae music, bands and musicians from Jamaica and the Caribbean, but most associated with reggae music. And I'm showing you the Black Uhuru Anthem record. Now, funny, I have 2 Black Uhuru records, and I'd never heard them or heard of them until I picked them up at a local yard sale. I'd like to say somebody had noted on Facebook Marketplace that they were getting rid of all kinds of records for free. They just had them out on a table, and it was first come, first serve. So I drove down the small town that I live in, and there was a few Black Uhuru records. Very neat stuff. I'd almost air it on a little bit more rough around the edges than, say, Bob Marley or late 70s, early 80s reggae. This to me is, like I said, it's more rough around the edges. Not rap music, but definitely got a different style. And the backside kind of, it's dark with just the red song titles and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I dig this stuff. I do have a couple of Black Uhuru records, but they don't both meet the dub genre. Maybe they both do, but according to Discogs, only one of them does. So there we go. Dub music, basically, like I said, out of the Caribbean, most associated with reggae artists. Next up, so in my previous video, I think it was the fourth video, I showed cold wave. This next style is called dark wave, and I've shown this record before, black marble, a different arrangement. I got it through a seller for like $5 or something like that. It was a blind buy. This is one of those records I just can't seem to get into. I've never listened to it in full. So what is dark wave? It kind of is exactly what it sounds like. It's very dark and monotony and drony, but a little bit of maybe electronic style in it. But that's about as far as I could go with this. It's just not my thing. And Black Marble is kind of a project out of the United States. I do believe they're from. Never had any singles or anything like that. The back of this is kind of cool though, with the galaxy and all that. But yeah, I just can't get into this. But like I said, it's more it's different than Cold Wave. Cold Wave is more associated with like Joy Division and stuff like that. It has that kind of a sound, and it was kind of an impetus for industrial music, whereas dark wave is kind of on its a little bit of a genre of its own. Maybe they influenced or had some influence of industrial music of the present and the past. I am not sure, but yeah, just not for me. So if it's for you though, check it out. Give it a go. All right, up next, complete opposite of dark wave music. We're going to go with piano blues, and I would argue that one of the biggest piano blues artists of the 70s and the 80s is none other than Billy Joel, and this is his album, The Bridge. This is, basically what Discogs brought me to. They're saying that this is the only one that I have in my collection that meets piano blues. I would argue that some of his early stuff is definitely more piano-y and bluesy. But this is actually my favorite of the Billy Joel albums. I know everybody kind of like the whole Springsteen and Mellencamp situation is going to be divisive as to which albums are their favorite and which ones aren't. But this one here has got Matter of Trust, This Is the Time. Those would be the big singles that were on this. But Running on Ice, which is the intro song on side one, always brings me back to an NHL hockey video I used to have on VHS tape when I was young in the 1980s. My parents got it for me for a Christmas gift. And towards the end of the video, one of the last sequences in the video, Running on Ice is playing, and they're just showing all kinds of highlights of players falling down and goalies and just part of the hockey scene. So it was a perfect song for the VHS tape. So if you haven't checked out Hockey, the Lighter Side, I believe it is on YouTube, the entire video in its entirety. Check it out. Might even leave a link down below if I can remember to do so. But Billy Joel, piano blues, exactly what you would think. It's bluesy, it's mellow, it's got the piano, and really, what more do you want? Billy Joel, cool music. All right, I think this is the second last one. Yes, second last one in the styles that I only have one in my collection, and this one is P-Funk. P-Funk, which I believe stands, based on what I researched, stands for psychedelic or psych-funkadelic. Basically, George Clinton and funkadelic. It's that kind of a style. I pretty much named after them and music associates that kind of perform that music. Now this one's a little bit strange. It falls under P-Funk on Discogs, but it's more of a jazzy type record. So Bill Summers and what's the name of it? Straight to the Bank. I showed this in a previous video in which somebody asked to show an album that had money on the cover, and I thought that this was a pretty cool cover. But yes, Bill Summers. did some research on it, and he is, by association, a lot of the musicians that are within the P-Funk style are associated with him, and that includes trying to remember the name of the musician. Anyway, there was a musician that is associated with Funkadelic and Parliament that performed on multiple albums of Bill Summers. So there you go. If you know George Clinton, Funkadelic, bands like that, you will know exactly what P-Funk is. It's exactly what you're all thinking it is. All right, and then finally, the last record, in which I only have one of a particular style, is under the category of early or Baroque music. Now, when I think those types of styles, I'm thinking like classical music. That is not what this is. This is Joy from Apollo 100. Now, it takes on maybe the sound or the idea of early Baroque music or whatnot, but this is more kind of like an electronic, style, in my opinion. And of course, Joy was their big hit. I think this is from 1970 or 71, something along those lines. And on the backside, kind of a different cover there. You can see that it is a project right here. And according to the back of the album, basically it says, the most listenable Apollo 100 album owes much to the group's hit Joy, written by J.S. Bach. So basically it is a Bach song. Research suggests that this is what Bach himself might have to say about Apollo 100. Here are accomplished British musicians respecting the actual music, but tastefully innovating, as with sax and vibes, and organ, harpsichord, and brass. Basically, that is what accompanies this album. So it's kind of like taking the Baroque music and then incorporating, like I said, more electronic, harpsichord, keyboards, basically using different composers. And yeah, there you go. Mad Mountain King, Mendelssohn's Fourth, Jazz Pizzicato, Evil Midnight, Air for the G string, Exercise in a minor, Classical Wind, all basically taken on a unique style of its own from the 1970s. So there you go. Early or Baroque music is my final album for this particular video. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Have you heard of these styles or subgenres? Have you heard of any of these bands or musicians? I'm sure most of you have heard of Billy Joel and that kind of thing. But other than that, let me know your thoughts. Like I said, down below. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, we will see you on the flip one.